6 o'clock straight up, so I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Quick roll call.
Grady Bonzel. Here. Dennis Needham. Matt McKenzie.
Here.
Mary Ellen Kumara. And Wally Henson.
Here. All right, sounds good. So we're missing a couple, but 3's quorum, so we'll continue on. Any public comment? Okay, moving on.
One thing I would like to add to the agenda, staff, both Zach and I, when we put the agenda together, neglected to put, the public hearing was already published in the newspaper and has already been sent to all the neighbors as far as a rezoning request for 425 Center Avenue. We did send that to you today, but would act as an official agenda item, even though it wasn't in the published one that was sent out over the weekend.
Okay.
And to go ahead and put that as the first item on the agenda since we have the applicant here. That
Very good.
rather than waste their time, we'll put it first.
So that sounds good to me. So with that, we will go ahead and move on to that, which I think is the paperwork that we pretty much have in front of us. So I guess start with there.
Start with, open the public hearing and then
Okay, yeah, so
start with the applicant.
have, at 6:01, we'll officially open the public hearing for the rezoning request for 425 Center. So we'd like to hear from you guys, and if you would step up so we can get you on the mic, just in case somebody's listening online.
Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous.
You're all good. Don't be nervous.
Don't be nervous.
My name is Brian Morales. This is my wife Leah. That's Miles and Ezekiel, my son. We moved to. My wife was born and raised in Kobe. I was raised in Puerto Rico, and my whole family side is in the East Coast, Rhode Island. So I'm new. We've settled here for 10 years now. We've been married for 12 years. But when we were looking for a place to live, we didn't want to quite settle in Kobe. We looked around. We thought of Brewster, but then we found the building. Actually, we're discussing the property today is the old First Baptist Church on 5th and Center, 425 Center. And we watched a lot of HGTV shows, so we saw a lot of renovations of church buildings being turned into homes, and we thought, hey, maybe we can do that after 10 years, and we pay the thing off, and then we can invest in renovations. Of course, through the years, I've had a business, Tinkering Owl, has been website design and logo design for 10 years now. But the last 3 years, I worked with MasterCard and Goodman Tech on Main Street. So we probably are aware that went south, and where I was gonna start making websites again, my wife says, "How about you now take the opportunity to follow your dream, which has been to make a coffee house or a coffee shop?" And I'm like, "Is it really now? I thought that'd be in retirement years." But I was like, "Are you sure?" She's like, "Now's the time. I think let's take some investment and run with that." So for the first time on August 3rd through the 10th, we were at the fair. I don't know if any of you saw, but we had a bit of a canopy there, and so we were serving coffee, and the response of the community has been it's been a passion for a long time. So to see Goodland's response, loving the coffee, loving what we're doing. Where are you based out of? I'm like, we're here, we're locals from Goodland. No way, you know. So I know there's a couple other coffee shops like Good Grounds. I've talked with Nathan, we know him. He's tried to solar house and stuff, and he's great. He says, he loves what we're doing, and he's out by the highway. So he says our numbers are amazing. So there's no animosity there, and so. What we're trying to do with that property is, because it's zoned residential, the whole main floor, the upper level, the main level is the sanctuary of the church. And for 10 years, it's just been storage for us. We haven't renovated it. So we would love to make that building once again be a community building. It was a religious establishment. It was for, maybe over 100 individuals would be there at any given time. So I think there was a point of question in this whole proceeding, or questions that I had to answer on some worksheet, regarding maybe the parking or the neighbors. And we know a lot of our neighbors, and everyone's so excited in the area to see that turn into a coffee house, if that would be possible. And we know that as it once was a community place where it was a church, we'd love for the community to be able to see that as a coffee house. I'm not sure if any of you knew or were aware of Clark's Crossing. They were kind of by First National Bank, and we love them. Jordan and Suzanne were amazing, and we knew that what they were doing, we'd love to do it someday, but it'd be 10 years down the road where we can financially be able to do it, and yet they're no longer here. I think they've moved to Portugal. But we sort of would like to take up that sort of piece that's missing, a place where people can come and have book reading club or knitting club, and to have good coffee, a place of fellowship. And because that place has a bit of an altar, a stage, my wife does music. She loves to do jazzy nights, music nights, and just have a vibe of some fun establishment that people can come and enjoy. So that's what we're seeking to. I think the term is maybe MDU, and so we would love if that would possibly be rezoned.
Okay.
How'd you come about with the name Tinkering Owl?
Very great question. So I've had insomnia for many years of my life, probably since high school. I just remember being awake 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I would just walk out in Rhode Island. It was Broad Street, just the city streets, and then just go home. Finally, I'd be tired. The same thing continued 10 years ago as I was thinking and started doing website design. I'm up in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3, I'm making a website. And as I was asking my wife for a business name, we're thinking, she's like, "You're just always tinkering away in the middle of the night." And as we're thinking of an animal, something to complement the name, Tinkering Owl, an owl, a night owl. So,
Okay.
So you are the tinkering.
yeah,
owl.
I guess so.
So you guys are still planning on living in the downstairs, and
Yes,
Sort
the
turn the
basement
upstairs
has been
into-
fully renovated as a home, so that's all we need there. And so then We think that the renovation of the main sanctuary could be maybe 2 to 3 years down the road, where there's enough money and investment for it to have a bathroom and things that would require for a coffee house. But the decision to be made now would mean that there's a smaller portion. Which, can I pass the paper to you guys? If you want to look at that main area under the Tinkering Owl sign. This is just little kind of mock-up drawings. Right under the Tinkering Owl sign, that was the pastoral offices, and that's actually where I'm currently working right now, making drinks. We're currently in business, but it's just deliveries only because we can't have people come to the property. So it's been crazy week after week for 2 months since the fair now, and it's been, our numbers, our profits have been doubling every month. So it's wonderful to see that even in deliveries only, people are just loving it. So right now, I think immediately it means that smaller space, I can kind of put some sort of, counters and allow some sort of order station, mobile and to go. If we did want to have pickup, if it gets rezoned, then we can start mobilizing in that and keep making, what do you call it, some of investment money we would need, so that in a couple of years we can then say, okay, we're done with this sort of coffee bar area, let's open up the full coffee house.
Okay. That was the next question I was going to have. What's your long-term timeline? But I think you just answered that.
Okay.
Grady, Wally, any other questions?
I guess the only question I would have is, what your hours are you thinking on? Are you guys going to be open like 1 a.m, midnight type
Right,
thing?
the Tinkering Owl concept. No, I don't think that crazy into the night. But currently it has been, because it's sort of just this delivery-based thing, it's been from 7 to noon, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Even with it being rezoned, where I can now just stay working there instead of grabbing the order, getting in the car and driving somewhere. If it gets rezoned, I think I would immediately switch it to like 7 to 4 or 5 p.m., more of a full day.
Okay.
But I think once it would be at the coffee house level, it'd be more like Monday through Saturday, full days also, and hopefully at some point have staff and people working as well. So.
Okay. Yeah, I was just kind of wondering if it's the late hours, if it's going to affect the resident around there.
That's understood.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Probably should ask staff for the staff report on it.
Yeah.
Let's go over the application.
Okay.
Since
Yeah. So Zach, you want to do the staff report? Thank you. You can have a seat. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So per rezoning, the matters to be considered are character of the neighborhood, consistency with the comprehensive plan and regulations, adequacy of public utilities and other needed public services, suitability of the uses to which the property has been restricted under its existing zoning, compatibility of the proposed district classification with nearby properties, the extent to which the zoning amendment may detrimentally affect nearby property, and whether the proposed amendment provides a disproportionately great loss to individual landowners nearby relative to the public gain. The character of the neighborhood is mixed with residential and commercial, mostly residential to the southwest, north, and directly to the west of it. If you go southeast, that's where you have the dental arts, the accounting business, all of that stuff right there. It is already zoned downtown mixed use.
And Josh put it up on the screens right now. The area in paint is the dental office and the salon just south of it. That's the downtown mixed use district. The rest of the property that's shown within that is clear, and that's the R1 zone. And the property in question is at the corner of 5th and Center. Which is, yeah, right there. You can see it. And the lot basically does include, I don't have it up on my screen, most of that green area to the next set of trees, correct?
It goes right to that little tiny driveway by that house. Yeah. I believe it sits within 6 inches of the edge of it.
So that's the lot in question, or the lot that the applicant owns. We submitted the application. Wanted to be clear with that, since you guys didn't have it, let you know. A little bit later.
So that raises another question, and maybe this is back for you guys. Future plans for that open lot? I just want to make sure that if somebody's listening, the mic can pick you up.
Yeah, I think the latest thoughts have been perhaps using home, right? We can avoid at some point to just go and those 4 lots like that. Home for us, and do that. But otherwise, we've never really thought of selling home.
So back for Zach and Kent then, to change all of the property to DMU, does that create an issue to build a house there in the future? Would there have to be a conversion back to R1?
That would be a future decision. That's, without some of the details, don't know for sure.
Okay.
It could be you split the lot so that it's 2 separate entities. There's probably enough room for a house to be built, so it could work out different. It just depends on a lot of details, which I'm sure Mr. Morales doesn't have Mr. or Mrs. Morales doesn't have the answers to right now.
She's correctly being clarified, that's just
That's a
One step at a time.
Fair enough. I just want to understand, if
There's going to be other issues with the downtown mixed use district, not with the proposed use. It's the other characteristics of the downtown mixed use district, which Zach will point out in his report.
That'd be the next thing we get to is consistency with the comprehensive plan and the regulations. The proposed change would allow the proposed use of the structure to fit within the regulations, but a cause for concern would be the allowable use's height limitations for future use if they were to sell the property. R1, R2 only allows 35-foot height in building. Downtown mixed use allows 75 feet in height. So that's where you come to the question, is that going to detrimentally affect one of the neighboring properties because they could have a 75-foot tall structure next to them now instead of a 35-foot like in the residential zones?
I'm not saying that the applicant has ever mentioned anything like
No.
that for the current use, but you have to understand the rezoning, once it's rezoned, it's allowed. And then it becomes whether this owner or eventually there'll be another owner. It could be a possibility.
Mhm.
So that's one item that we were not, as we read over it again today, it popped out a little bit more to us.
Public utilities and other needed public services. There's already taps for sewer, water, and electric, as the building has had those for many years, and the roads are already developed there, so you wouldn't need any other roads put in or any replanning that way. The suitability of the uses to which the property has been restricted under its existing zoning. The structure was once a church that has been converted into a dwelling with extra space not being used. Applicant would like to utilize this space for the coffee making business. Concern would be if in the future the property were to be sold or the current owner decided to establish a different type of business that is allowed in the downtown mixed use, would it be fair to the neighboring properties? So, like, for example, a tire repair shop, gas station, that kind of thing. Because once it is rezoned, then you have to think, well, what else could it be?
Mhm.
Regardless of their plans now or in the future, it's like Kent said, eventually somebody else will own it.
That would be the same for the existing that we got right now, like the dental.
Correct.
If they wanted to tear that down, they could put a 75-foot structure up there too, right?
They could, yeah. Which is, even though we've gone over the zoning a lot over the last couple of years, that 75-foot limit seems quite high.
Right.
Big. bigger than anything else that exists.
But the different businesses and, there's a list, and we've gone over this before, but there's 30 different allowed uses in the downtown mixed use. Because you want a wide variety of different things. Now, several of those, there's no issue, whether it's a coffee shop or whether it's, a number of different types of things. Even a hotel motel would work out okay with some things with it. But then when he mentioned a tire shop or a bar or a couple other items within there, is it? It's just a concern. Maybe it's not a prohibitive concern, but it is a concern, and that's why it's mentioned in the staff.
Compatibility of the proposed district classification with nearby properties. The proposed zoning classification is partly compatible with nearby properties as downtown mixed use is just across the street in the alley.
And with the other uses, the coffee shop that would probably fit really good in that with the neighboring properties that are right there. The question is, because it's the zone, it's everything within this.
Yeah.
The extent to which the zoning amendment may detrimentally affect nearby property. It may create a different traffic pattern for the street, but should not adversely affect anyone with a huge amount of traffic going through it. There's adequate off-street parking as they have the pull-through driveway and everything like that, so that can be utilized. And then whether the proposed amendment provides a disproportionately great loss to individual landowners nearby relative to the public gain. And this could cause a loss to individual landowners surrounding the property with it, which the zoning change has been proposed. And if the change is made to rezone, a future owner of the lot could potentially open/build a new establishment that isn't fitting with the characteristic of the neighborhood. Which, like Kent said, that's not a reason to shut it down, the rezoning. It's just a cause of concern and something to think about.
You did have, and you didn't include it in the staff report, you did have several calls from neighboring property owners.
Yes, they were questioning what the rezoning was for, but I never got a negative response from any of them. That should have been attached to the email that I sent out this morning.
Looked like there was one that they wanted to visit and get back to you, but
Nobody ever got back to me. No.
But all the others were positive
Yes.
it's good.
in response to the rezoning request.
Okay. You guys have questions about staff report?
So we've mentioned the people that contacted. There's been no calls today, or no one said that they would come. And we've had the applicant speak. So at this point, you can probably close the actual hearing part, and then staff can go over what are the options for you going forward with this.
Okay. So it is 6:20. I will officially close the public hearing, and then let's have a little discussion about steps forward and options.
Well, the duty of the planning commission on any rezoning is to hold a public hearing. And then I want to read it exactly. That's why I'm getting to it.
1916, right?
Yes. Um, And the planning commission shall hold a public hearing there at its next regular meeting, for which the application may be scheduled. Shall cause a written summary to be made, give notice in like manner on the recommendations. Well, that's on the amendments. The procedure for the consideration and adoption of a recommendation to amend zoning district boundaries shall be in the same manner as that required for the zoning regulations, which we've been doing a couple of those here lately. A majority of a quorum of a planning commission at the hearing shall be required to recommend approval or denial of the amendment to the city commission. If the planning commission fails to make a recommendation on the rezoning request, the planning commission shall be deemed to have made a recommendation of disapproval. When the planning commission submits a recommendation of approval or disapproval of such amendment and the reasons therefore, then the city commission takes it up. So the city commission is the one who actually approves or disapproves it. But the recommendation needs to come from this. And the recommendation should include the reason why you recommend one way or the other. Since we didn't get you all this materials over the weekend, one option that we'd like to present to you is we had the public hearing as required by the thing. You can go ahead and make a recommendation for approval or disapproval to the city commission. Either way, it still goes to the city commission. The other thing is if you wanted, since we didn't get you all the materials ahead of time, or if you've had enough of the material so far and are ready to make a decision, that's fine. If you don't feel that's enough time, you can table as far as the rezoning, your recommendation till the next meeting, if we want to hold a special meeting in a certain amount of time. Just because you guys didn't have it beforehand as far ahead as you probably should. That was the only additional thing that the staff was brought up, because we brought up a couple issues that I think we're asking you to make a decision on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
At first, and staff has been real supportive of working with the applicant, Brian Morales, regarding this. It's just these other couple concerns that we've raised regarding the downtown mixed use district. And it's not regarding the applicant's coffee house business. That's not going to present any problems. It's the other stuff that comes along with it. And is this the best vehicle to get that accomplished? We started looking also at is there any other way to get this accomplished? And this is where the zoning kind of boxes us in. And so that's, and we have the application for the rezoning request. Seemed like the best vehicle at the time.
But with that said, I know you had mentioned Cars Crossing. Did we have to rezone that? I mean, we didn't rezone that, the coffee shop, did we? Or is that already in there?
Where was that located at?
Right across from the bank.
First National
Yeah,
Bank
it's,
is at
10th and Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
Right where I can kind of see it.
Yeah, that's rezoned as, or that's zoned as downtown mixed use right now. Which would, it has residential to the east of it. That's still R1 zone. Obviously, it's not going to spread that far as far as the downtown mixed use district. And that height limitation, that may end up as a subject matter with us
Well-
towards as the uses.
So one thing that I can just is on my mind right now, and it's more of a comment than a question, but if in the future someone wanted to build a structure like that, they would have to come before the planning commission with a site plan anyway, and we could visit that height restriction then. Even though the zoning allows for it, doesn't necessarily mean we have to approve their site plan because of the neighborhood. So I don't know that it probably does box us in a little in that it's going to open an opportunity, but it doesn't mean that we have to allow it to happen. Maybe.
I think that's a good statement. I don't think it's a complete answer, but that is a good answer to that height limitation
Yeah.
concern.
And I guess just to give you guys an idea on where my head is, I hate to stand in the way of a present business because we're worried about something that may not ever exist in the future. So, you guys can tell me where you are on, feeling comfortable about moving forward. We're missing 2 of the 5 tonight, and I wish they would be here to have some input. But I don't know what you guys' schedules look like. I know you can't be here next month. If we could meet again in a short amount of time to give Dennis and Mary Ellen a minute to weigh in, or I know where I'm at. I could make a decision based on how I feel about it right now. But
I can too. I can meet in a couple weeks. Yeah, just the beginning of December, I'll be gone for the first 3 weeks. So.
And if you guys are comfortable, then what members you have is what members you have.
Right.
If they couldn't be here, it's whoever here gets to make the decision.
and the documents say we just need the quorum and have that. So
Right.
we can. By the rules, we can make the decision. So, Wally, how do you feel about it? Do you need more time to think about it?
No. No, I'm pretty well convinced that we'd be doing the right thing to okay it.
That's kind of where I am too, Grady. You feel the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. And then what you need to do is make a motion to make a recommendation to the city commission to approve the rezoning, and then have a reason or two with it. So that could be a written summary of it.
Do you want the reason in the motion, or can we make the motion and then I'll give you the?
Sure, if you can use that.
Because otherwise, my motion's going to be this
Is
long.
that well, then you could ask Grady to repeat it.
yeah. All right, so I move that we make a recommendation to the city commission to approve the rezoning request from R1 to DMU for 425 Center.
I'll second that.
Moved by me, seconded by Wally. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries. Okay, so my reasoning would be we've got an exciting new business that wants to do some good things in Goodland, and that's what we're trying to promote in everything that I'm involved in outside of this particular commission as well, is that we're trying to encourage new good things in Goodland. And I'm excited about what you guys want to do. I think it's a cool idea. More community gathering space is all good.
Right.
Yes, there are some concerns about the future, but let's cross that bridge when we get there and not stand in the way of progress today.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know that I went to the Clark's Crossing and they had it. It was very popular and people always had a good time. And I just see this doing the same thing. So maybe with a little more steroids or something, I don't know, but, you know, because you learn, right, and you grow, and so I see that things improving, so I agree, I think that'd be good.
Okay,
That'll work.
that works.
And then we'll bring it to the city commission at their next meeting. I believe their next meeting on Monday. Whichever day, whatever day is Monday.
18th.
18th. The months are running together for me, so I'm not remembering the date, but it'll be on Monday night at 5 o'clock. And we won't have a public hearing at that one, but then we'll provide the written summary and the agenda packet, and then we will bring it to the city commission, and then they're the ones that actually approve it, and then there'll be an actual ordinance to change the zoning. Is what the next, or that's the steps that are taken to get it done. So we can made it past the first step.
Okay, we're gonna move on with our agenda. You're free to go. You're also welcome to stay if you're interested, but we get it. So thanks for coming tonight.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so moving on to what's now number 4 on the agenda, public hearing for an ordinance adopting and amending section 19202 definitions to the Considered Government Use of the Code. So it's 6:33. I will officially open the public hearing on said ordinance. Here's there's no public comment. So staff, any more staff comment or anything you guys need to add there?
And I did not receive any phone calls or emails, and I don't know exactly.
No.
Okay.
And we went over this in detail at last meeting. Definitions. It will be combined with the other ordinances,
501 and 502.
use table and use standards. But other than that, it's really just another text amendment trying to adjust the code a little bit.
Okay.
There was question on religious institution, and the short version is the land use provisions of the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act of 2000 protect individuals, houses of worship, and other religious institutions from discrimination in zoning and landmark laws. That would also cover parsonages, which was a question from last meeting. Other than that, I think that was really the biggest concern, I think, from the last meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
Then just need to make a motion or close the hearing first.
Yeah. So at 6:34, we'll officially close the public hearing. And Greg, you have the notes or the motion in there.
I don't have the notes,
I got it right here, so I'll do it. So I move that we recommend for approval an ordinance amending the text for Chapter 19, Section 202 definitions to the City Commission.
I second.
Okay, moved by Matt, seconded by Grady. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries.
One of these days, I just want to yell nay. I know it won't matter, but
Nay.
Then you're gonna find out who really listens online.
yeah.
I had all my notes, and then because I don't have internet, it's just,
Oh, you can't get it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's weird.
I guess that works out.
Oh, I guess I didn't.
Okay, so moving on to number 5 on the agenda now, proposed plat amendment and plat correction procedures to be added to subdivision regulations.
This is just a couple more corrections. One is a plat amendment, and it's basically allowing, in our subdivision process, which we've talked about, but it's been a while. You know, a lot of times you'll have a preliminary plat and a final plat, or even with a larger subdivision, it'll be sketch, then preliminary plat, then final plat. a plat amendment, what this is talking about is basically just one phase, just the final plat. And it's for, it's not creating additional lots, but it's, or there's no public improvements involved. But it's really just trying to, so that they could split the lot in one. Or it's a boundary line adjustment. Like if you need to move it 10 feet, one side or the other. And there's, obviously some properties in this town where it's lot 5 plus 10 feet of lot 6.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines, where it probably would be better to have a process than actually move the line. And then you got a reconfigured lot 5, rather than so. And then a plot correction is if they have an actual subdivision plat, but then there's something noticed, either a date or some other minor error on the actual plat, and it allows an administrative solution to that, rather than having to go back and final plat the whole thing again. So, but the plat amendment is just trying to be an efficient process. Minor lot adjustments, and then it gives some criteria on the second page of what I gave you towards the end of the thing. No public improvements, lots are under the same ownership. There might be a minor adjustment to the boundary of the street right away or utility easement, but it doesn't change the overall perimeter boundary of the lots. It's really just the internal lot lines. Could there be an additional lot line involved, or just move, one of those type of things. So we don't have this currently within our code, and that's why we have a number of instances in town where it would have been better to have this tool within that, but we don't currently. So, just wanted to see if you guys thought this would be a good enough idea for staff to go ahead and put together an ordinance for you guys to review.
I think so. I think we need an administrative process that makes it easier to deal with that, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. One of them is there'll just be a final plat, so there'll be just an action here at the planning commission. And the other one, the plat correction, is just administrative,
Yeah.
where it's done by staff. Take care and just report it on. So
You said it doesn't affect the lot size or the boundaries, so we don't have to do anything with property, courthouse and stuff like that when that happens? Or?
well, it'll actually be filed with the courthouse after it's complete, if the lot
Everybody
lines
gets
change.
adjusted and-
Yeah, then it would be filed with the
Your
court.
comment was more about moving the changes that this would adjust would be like the internal line, not the bounds,
Yeah,
outside boundary. You can't get any closer to the alley or the street than
Right.
it already is.
Okay, I see. Okay, fine.
but the internal lines, yeah, you still would file it with the courthouse on the not the plat. Well, the plat correction too. You still, if it was found after it was filed with the courthouse already.
It would change the deed of that property based on where you move the line.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was wondering.
But that's all it is for now. We'll bring you back to
Okay,
something.
sounds good. Okay, moving on to number 6, reports. Grady, anything to report?
Nothing to report.
Wally?
No, I don't.
I just had one question about something I saw show up on a property that was a discussion a while back when we changed the zoning for the new storage units on 16th Street, 16th and Sherman or whatever. There was another lot right there that there was some discussion about.
Kansas.
Yeah, about some future changes. I noticed storage containers showed up there. And that's all within the rules and doing okay. Okay. been brought to my attention by a few people in the public about, is it okay to continue to let storage containers pop up all over the place? Main Street's the biggest one, but when I saw those 4 show up over there, I thought, well, there's 4 more. So it's not, wouldn't say it's highly regarded by the general public, but if, as long as they're within rules and code and ordinances, I guess, all good.
Well,
They're all within the required setbacks of everything, so they're not too close to the alley or to the street or anything like that. There's really nothing I can enforce that side of things.
and they are becoming more prevalent. It's becoming more noticeable to the public.
Yeah.
It's allowed in the commercial districts. So the now the lots, they're not on
It's the left-hand side. Those
that
two.
area.
Yep. So it's already zoned commercial.
It's already zoned.
Okay.
It's not on the residential property. But, we could have a discussion to see if there's anything that we can suggest to you as an alteration regarding storage containers, if you would like.
So far, everything that showed up in town has been nice looking. They're newer and paint is, decent. It's when one shows up that's a little unsightly that we're going to have a bigger issue, I think. So it looks like that's probably the way that storage units are going to go for a while. Containers are cheaper than they were. Price keeps going down. That's a cheap way to get storage put up. So.
Then also something that we could bring up for discussion later is putting some sort of outside covering on them to make them look more like a residential or commercial type building opposed to just a storage unit.
Is there anything that needs to be a fixed structure? I don't know if it had to be, a foundation that be bolted down. Or,
Those are a little different because they're technically movable still.
right. I mean, I'm just thinking, because I work at the weather service, when you think about tornadoes, that's something that just can be picked up and, and that's one of the things we look at is how they're fastened down as a structure, for insurance and stuff. So,
That could always be something put within the uses as well.
Well, I guess where I would leave that is let's have that on our minds. We probably need a future discussion about what it looks like to continue to add container storage, and if we need to have more. I don't want to say rules. I hate more rules, but maybe just more guidelines about what we want to see when they go in.
What are the considerations for it? Because right now it's allowed, and as long as it fits within setbacks, there's really nothing additional regarding it. And it sure is quicker than having to build a bill.
It's,
and faster to get to remove it too.
they can go away in a hurry too if they need to. So, okay. All right, good enough. We'll move on. Staff reports. Ken, anything? Zach?
Had a few conversations with people talking about doing some sort of a development, smaller housing types, 600 to 900 square feet. They're still in the planning stages of everything, so nothing to get too excited about, but there has been discussion. So keep fingers crossed that something comes out of that.
Any special locations or just all around? Or,
Wherever they can really get the land.
right, yeah.
And the same people that are doing that are talking about trying to help people get ADUs if they're wanting ADUs in their yard. So
Nice. Sounds like a great infill project.
I was just going to comment about kind of a funny situation over in the east central part of town, just north of 8th Street. People build a beautiful house. I'm talking about Bryce and Jessica Cole.
Right.
Yet there's still a silo sitting in front of the place.
That's intentional. Yep.
Anyway, kind of an odd situation.
Okay, let's move on down the list. Minutes from October 8th. Anybody see any additions, corrections?
And it actually should be October 9th. It says October 8th.
It was the 8th.
It was the 8th?
Yeah.
Okay.
You were good.
I put it wrong in the minutes.
All right, with that, I move we adopt the minutes as posted.
Second.
And moved by Matt, second by Grady. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. Moving on. Looks like we're done. I move
Missed
we
my
adjourn.
opportunity.
I'll second that.
All right.
Those in favor?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thanks, guys.